Hello? Rescue hooks to rescue, Mayday! Get ahead, West. Bad Mayday, what's your location? Get the panel out of here, hurry up! We need radio silence, I need water in that 2.5-inch line. 48 inch water in a 2.5-inch line. To the rope, to the rope, to the rope! 35 in the rear, 35 in the rear!
Welcome to the Emergency Traffic Podcast. So welcome everybody to another episode of Emergency Traffic, where we talk about firefighter and paramedic line of duty deaths so we can learn from these tragic events. Periodically, we have these bonus episodes called Tailboard Talks, and really they're just somewhere where the firefighters would gather around in the station on the tailboard to talk about active things that are active and important in their minds, and so we can have a bit of a debate. So we're going to have another tailboard talk this time, and it's going to be a discussion about the color of fire apparatus, a very controversial subject in the fire service that's been going on since I was a baby, and we'll see if we can bring some more clarity to it. So today I'm joined by our co-hosts Denis and Doug and myself, and we're going to have a discussion about this because of a recent report that came out from, I think it was Fire Rescue Magazine, maybe, that had a result. I'll pull that up so I know where it came from. Anyway, how are you guys, Doug and Denis?
I'm doing okay. I'm just wondering if when you were a baby, could you get steamers in different colors, or did they all just come in one color?
Nice. Not that old. No. I have a picture, though, of the fire truck my dad bought when I was a young kid in Richelieu, the white cab-over Ford Pierre Thibault fire truck that I remember riding in out to go to practices and go get gas and whatever. That I guess Mom wanted me out of the house, so she'd send me off with Dad.
Weird. I can't imagine why.
Yeah, I wonder why. Nice. This is going to be good. How are you, Doug? What's new?
I'm I'm good. I'm ready for this talk about stuff we've already talked about lots between us, and yeah, just hanging out. Family, kids, and wife went to the in-laws for Christmas, so they'll be back in a few days. So I'm just hanging out in the meantime, and yeah, hanging out with my friends, talking about fire stuff. What more could I ask for?
Perfect. Being lazy, wife and kids are away, nothing you got to do.
Oh, there's
Don't
lots I got to do.
honey-do list.
Yeah,
You got to
know
keep
it.
up on that. Yeah. Denis, how are you?
I'm good. I think I'm putting on weight. I'm not sure.
Uh-oh.
This is the time of year when all my neighbors thank me for doing all my little projects that I do for them, with my tractor or with
Oh,
my
yeah.
chainsaw, whatever. So they bring over, tins of cookies and.
Nice.
Well, no. I mean, yes, but no.
Yes, but no. I know. If it's not there, you can't eat it, right? But if it's there.
That's right. So I ration myself to, well, never mind, to less than I want on a daily basis. So, and yeah, and I think I told you guys that we had a big get together there a week ago, and of course there were things left over,
Right.
stuff like Quality Street chocolates and Rocky Road squares and mincemeat tarts and
mincemeat tarts. I haven't had those forever.
yeah, and shortbread cookies and
Stop it. I haven't had lunch.
And ham.
Nice.
Yeah.
Season.
So
I do miss that, being in the firehouse at Christmas time, because there was always lots of food around, but don't do that anymore.
I always bought these in my last apartment. Well, actually, even before that, but on Christmas Eve, I would always go around with these giant-sized boxes of chocolates. I'd go station to station, and if you were the lucky shift that was working that night, you got a big box of chocolates. So I would always drop those off, late in the evening, right? So I'd go around, see how everybody was doing, and give them a big box of chocolates and just sit down and shoot the shit for a while. And, play question and answer. I'd tell them straight up, I says, you can ask me anything, I'll give you an answer, guaranteed. So, we'd do that, and we just had fun, right? So
Might not be the answer you want, but you'll give you an answer.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't keep any secrets, so
Which is good. That's great.
yeah.
So,
So that's why I'm confessing to eating all this stuff I shouldn't be eating.
yeah, exactly. Nice. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, an article came out in Firehouse magazine that pointed out December 11th or 10th or something that was on I think I shared it on our social media feeds. Talked about the color of fire apparatus, and this has been a debate forever. As I was kids, and I guess Denny was a kid, it was just kind of coming up because back in the 70s, the American Ophthalmology Society did a study. I tried to find it, I couldn't find the actual study, but it proved.
Dr. Solomon.
Okay.
That was the guy's name. If you Google that, you'll find it.
Okay. And he came out with a study just proving that lime yellow and yellow trucks were more visible under poor light and adverse weather conditions. So many agencies slowly started to change to a lime yellow or chrome yellow version of trucks instead of red due to visibility issues, trying to make their apparatus safer. In 1984, another study was done, and 10 cities, 5 that had red apparatus and 5 that had lime yellow apparatus, did about 750,000 runs in this study. The red cities had higher accident rates than the lime yellow ones. Red cities had almost 32 accidents per 100,000 runs, compared to 15 accidents per 100,000 runs, basically double. Concerns varied, though, because they were various cities, different climate, terrain, training, standard operating procedures, everything like that. So the study wasn't scientifically defined enough that there was other variables. But a lot of cities in those years did change to yellow or lime yellow due to that. But a lot of people didn't like it because the trucks weren't red or white. Any
Well,
feedback
at
on
least
that
not
so far?
everywhere. There was a whole generation of trucks out there that were red on the inside, yellow on the outside.
Changed colors,
Yeah,
painted.
and then 15 years later, red on the outside and yellow on the inside.
Here's a good story. The first new fire truck I sold in Colonze, Saskatchewan, it was supposed to be red. They actually had a vote at the fire hall what color it was going to be, red or yellow. This is in 1986, 87. And the chief was the tiebreaker on the vote, and he voted red. He was the Ford dealer as well, Colonze, Saskatchewan. Anyway, my boss, Howard Bradley, got down to the factory to pick the truck up at Thibault in Pierreville, Quebec, and he phoned me, or didn't phone me because we didn't. I don't know. Somehow maybe he phoned me long distance. Yeah, because we didn't have cell phones or anything. Anyway, and he said, "What color did? Who broke the vote? And what color was the truck supposed to be?" And I go, "Why? Because it's yellow,
Yeah,
and it
gives
was
us a
supposed to be
trouble.
red." It's like, oh no. And so of course he's like, why didn't you guys call me if there was a concern? The chassis came red. He ordered his own chassis. He was the Ford dealer. He ordered the truck, and the chassis came red. And so Howard told Thibault, he's like, why didn't you guys call me? And a friend of mine, actually, Yvon Shampoo, was the product manager guy, and why didn't you call me? He says, about 2 weeks before, someone else had come in questioning the truck color and stuff, and he got in trouble for questioning. Right, if the order says it, you do it, and don't bother me. And so when this one came the wrong color, he did it. He didn't question it, and he painted the truck yellow over the red. And anyway. And they got a yellow truck, but the fire department was very gracious, and they said that's fine. We were kind of divided on the subject, so yellow is fine, and it's probably still there in Colonze, Saskatchewan, about an hour southeast of Saskatoon. Doug, what do you think? What color should fire trucks be, Doug?
Well, Henry Ford said a Model T can be any color you want as long as it's black. And I think a fire truck can be any color you want as long as it's red.
But what if a brighter color is safer for the firefighters?
Well, what if an airplane falls out of the sky? It doesn't matter what color the truck is then. I mean, you can what if everything you want. My theory is strictly tradition in that a fire truck is red. Police car should be black and white. A fire truck should be red. That's just the way it is, and that's my opinion. And you're not going to change
You're
it. I question these studies a little bit because when they say, to me, having 30 something accidents over 100,000 runs is a lot of accidents. Like there's cities I know that do over 100,000 runs a year and they're not getting in 30 accidents. So then I question, like, well, what do you define as an accident? And how many of those accidents does the truck color have anything to do with it? If a driver's backing up into a parked car, or a driver goes through a red light and hits another car, or a driver goes too fast and rolls over, or they don't have the Paul Prevost baffles in their tanker and they roll over, none of that has anything to do with what color the truck is. So it'd be nice kind of if someone did these studies, if they really want to, and took all those variables out and like strictly said, we're only going to do accidents where the truck gets hit. And in that, when you come to that, in my opinion, people are stupid and there's bad drivers, and trucks that are parked on highways are going to get hit. That's just the way it is. So I don't really care if they say that yellow is safer, because you can't oversafe life. Things are going to happen.
I'm just looking for the article. I got to find that. But in the meantime, so Doug, this is the debate that went on after that study in 84, is that, it's too random, it's too different, how bad were the accidents, all this kind of stuff. And so they actually did another study. Now, in the meantime, because of the accidents and the visibility, 1991, NFPA introduced the retroreflective striping requirement on fire apparatus. So you had to have 4-inch retroreflective stripe on the sides and the back, majority of the back, majority of the sides, and a little bit on the front. And they also improved the lighting standard to require more lighting. That's the first time they actually, beyond 360 degrees. I remember the old ULC standard in Canada said one red light visible 360 degrees around the truck, kind of thing was the standard. And then NFPA upped that, and they actually got quite defined in about 96 or 99 as to the lighting and the lumens and how many flashes and everything like that. And then the argument was, with the retroreflective striping and the warning lighting improvements, this should overcome the color choice, right? It didn't matter what color because you have reflective striping and you have warning lights. They did another study, 1995. Dallas, they did one city this time, eliminate the factors. One city, Dallas, Texas. They had both red, white, and lime yellow apparatus. They used police reports for data to make it a fair comparison. So only if there was a police report on the incident. The red trucks had 10.4 accidents per 100,000 runs, 3 accidents for the yellow trucks per 100,000 runs. That's a lot of difference.
And kind of goes to Doug's point, though, because that's only 1/3 the number of accidents per 100,000. So clearly, if there's police report, there's another vehicle involved, most likely.
Right.
So visibility then would likely be part of the question. But whether it was the apparatus driver seeing the other vehicle or the other vehicle seeing the apparatus driver, we don't know.
Well, and like you said earlier, how many in the city of Dallas, how many were the trucks half and half? Were they scattered consistently throughout the neighborhoods of the city, going on interstates and cross streets and downtown and not? Or did Dallas have 30 red trucks and 10 yellow trucks, and some crash more than others because there's more of them? It doesn't say that.
Where's the report? I got to find the report.
I'm only going off the
Because it
email
says
that you sent us.
no,
with all
but
this
there's a
garbage
report. I
in
knew
it.
you wouldn't read the report, so I made a summary email. But I got to. Where did I put it?
But I think regardless, Paul, every single report shows higher statistics for red apparatus versus yellow apparatus. And
Yeah, that's
it seems to be irrelevant the number of lights and reflective stripes that are on it. So it's just interesting, and I wonder if it's strictly the color, but certainly there's a strong color coordination there. But people are still running into fire trucks.
yeah.
Well, I still think, I mean, in my opinion, a lot of it is that the overwhelming majority of fire trucks in North America are red. So when
Very
there's
much
more
so.
of them on the road, they're going to have more accidents.
No, they took that out of these studies. It had nothing to do with how many were in the fleet. They defined it. I got the report here now. Opened it up and I'm looking. Um, Yellow versus red. So in the end, well, let's see. What they did in 2018, they did another study, very definitive study. 12 departments, 6 with red trucks, 6 with lime yellow apparatus, over a period of 4 years on 2,600,000 runs. The red accident rate was 47.9, so 48%. 48 accidents per 100,000 runs. The lime yellow accident rate was 25 per 100,000 runs. And white was a close second to red at 41 and a half per 100,000 runs.
That
So
just
over
seems like
50
a lot of accidents. That like 50
fire trucks
accidents
have
per
a
100,000. There's like how many runs do we do in Alberta a year? We don't
no
get
idea. There's no
50
stats.
accidents. We don't get in 50 accidents. Like it's ridiculous. Like that's a lot of accidents.
These are mainly metropolitan departments, right? So Miami-Dade, Clark County, Nevada, Palm Beach Gardens, Honolulu, Glendale, Arizona, Knox County, Tennessee, Miami, San Francisco, San Diego, Las Vegas, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Tucson, Arizona. So it's all in the study there. It shows the number of accidents and the types, which cities. So, definitively over 50 years, the results are the same. They've done at least 3 or 4 strong studies that show lime yellow fire trucks are more visible and have less accidents than red trucks. But yet we still paint trucks red or other colors. Now, red and black. It's not helping the safety of our responders to paint these trucks non-visible. If you look at Europe or Britain, they not only they're red or they're bright yellow, they have the same issue, but then they put the huge Battenberg stripes and stuff. They even paint the wheels different colors, so you see the wheels, take your attention at an intersection. Yet we ignore it and say, no, fire trucks traditionally are red, and it doesn't matter if it's safer, we still want a red truck.
Yep, I still want a red truck because you put all these stripes on it and all these sweet LED lights that are flashing all over the place and a siren that's louder than ever and an air horn and traffic traffic light controlling devices, and you put everything in our favor and some dummy still hits the truck. I find it hard to believe that if all those factors were the same but my truck was yellow, I'm not going to get hit. I just don't believe that because the color of the light, like the lights are so bright that you don't even see the truck. You see the lights. There's so many lights on our trucks now. It like
But the proof's in the pudding. 2018,
yeah,
red trucks had more accidents.
I think
Same
I don't
lights.
but I question the accidents. Without having all the data of what an accident is and what the factors of the accident were, like we get in tons of accidents that are like a little bump or a bad fire truck driver. You can put a bad fire truck driver in whatever color truck you want. If he's going to hit something, he's going to hit something. So I don't. Sure, you say the proof's in the pudding, whatever. I still want a red fire truck.
I think another issue, of course, is the continuing focus on emergency lighting, and there's a lot of options in the NFPA standards for that, and part of one of the options is that you've got responding mode and blocking mode. In other words, driving mode and non-driving mode. And a lot of departments, and myself included, we never bothered too much with specifying a reduction in lighting when we were in blocking mode. We just, the lights are on, the lights went on, whatever. The only thing, for instance, that I insisted on was the alternate flashing headlights or flashing white lights. We wouldn't permit any of those to be flashing, whenever the headlights were on, because it was nighttime. And the last thing you needed was flashing white lights in the driver's eyes as they were coming up, because invariably it's the high beams that are flashing. However, the LED lights now are to such intensity that, in fact, I think they're causing accidents, particularly at night, where people are, just like Doug has just said, you're basically blinded. All you can see are flashing lights. You can't see individual firefighters walking around the scene. You can't really see the truck. All you see are these flashing lights. And I think to some degree that's dangerous. And I know in Nova Scotia about 25 years ago, they brought in a traffic control regime. It's a requirement, actually. It's a regulation about how to control traffic at emergency scenes and construction scenes and so forth. And you were required to put out warning signs and so forth, upstream, meaning
Mm-hmm.
in the direction that the vehicles are coming. And I know that was adopted in Ontario, for instance, as a guidance note, and it generally is a good idea and has had a significant impact on accidents at construction sites. I don't have any data on how it's been effective at emergency scenes, but I think stuff like that is important. But like Doug says, there's people out there who will drive into fire trucks, and I've experienced that myself. I've been in a vehicle. I was doing blocking and I got hit. And I got hit by a tow truck driver of all things. But never mind, it was a blinding snowstorm. That's another story entirely. And we had words, the driver and me, but never mind. But
But the fact is, according to the studies, 2018 studies, all modern fire trucks, LED lighting, all this kind of stuff, the red trucks had significantly more accidents than a yellow truck.
Right. So
Shouldn't
what
we
about this?
paint our trucks yellow?
Well, I don't know. Why are we painting them black?
Another one.
Why?
I just saw the other day, some guy bought a red and black or all black or gray Chiefs truck. Why does a Chiefs truck need to be stealth?
It's not sexy at all. It verges on being dumb.
Yeah,
And really, I mean, if you want a sexy vehicle, buy a personal vehicle, paint it red and black. But fire trucks should be very easily perceived by the public as fire trucks, which is why I have an issue with how what used to be very common was putting checker plate all over the body and very little paint. And
right.
with roll-up doors, of course, you got a lot of aluminum showing. So when you look at the truck from the side, it's camouflaged. You've got
Mm-hmm,
red
mm-hmm, yep,
stripes and aluminum pieces. It's difficult for, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's difficult for the public to perceive how big this vehicle is because they're not really seeing all of it. Reminds me of the World War II dazzle paint,
yeah,
when they used to paint ships in dazzle, so that you couldn't determine properly at a quick glance, which is all you get a lot of the times at an intersection or whatever, how big the vehicle is, whether it's moving or not moving or whatever the case may be, which is why I always painted all the doors on the apparatus that I bought. So the vehicle was all one color all the way across. And I went to actually put a red stripe, so it was color on color for the vehicle, a red stripe on a red fire truck. Doug, you'd be happy to hear that. And,
well, you wouldn't want it to stand out or anything when you're driving it through the traffic in the daytime.
so I would put the red stripe around the extreme periphery of the body, like they do with school
School
buses, right?
buses in yellow.
So
Yep.
at night you could see the entire outline of the body. So you were coming up and you decided you wanted to play bumper cars. You'd look at this thing and go, "Oh my, that's a lot bigger than me. I don't think I'll do that."
Right.
So people can perceive it. So a lot of school bus technology, I think, needs to be considered for fire truck technology to avoid getting hit. However, school buses are a color that's
Are
not allowed
yellow.
to be any other
They're
vehicle.
yellow.
Yes, but I think Dr. Solomon would tell you that it's not the right yellow.
It might.
However,
You're right. It's not lime
but it's
yellow. It's
but
school
it's
bus yellow.
but it's
School bus
consistent.
yellow, just like fire engine red.
Yeah, it's
But you can't
consist.
see the fire engine.
Yes, you
But
can.
The
You need
studies
to,
prove
but
it.
Paul, you need to take these studies that you always bring up and put a little bit of like Paul's brain behind what you think, because you can have a study that tells you anything you want. Use your brain a little bit. Are you honestly telling me that if I'm driving a fire truck at work and I'm coming up to an intersection with my lights going, my siren going, my air horn going, I'm going to an accident or a call, and it's a red light and I'm coming to cross traffic and my truck's red, all other variables are the same, but my truck's yellow, it makes that much difference to cross traffic?
I think the cross traffic,
I don't believe that.
The proof is there.
they're more concerned about their donut. Come on.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I can't get behind my. You can turn my volume down later. It just doesn't make sense. It blows my mind, really, that because we used to, like back in the day, like you said, fire trucks had one light on them and a mechanical siren, and they got to fires and they got hit. And then NFPA or whoever said, "Oh well, we need to put more lights." Oh well, and then trucks still got hit, so let's put a stripe on it. Hey, look, trucks still get hit. Let's put chevrons on them. Hey, look, trucks still get hit. So they're still gonna get hit. Doesn't the color? And it's like you say, the public needs to know that it's a fire truck. Well, if you went to downtown New York City and interviewed 100 random people and you said, what color is a fire truck? They're all going to say red. That's what your brain puts towards it, red. And I don't believe that the color of the paint matters when you have all these LED lights shining in your face, all the sound directing you. The color of the paint on the door doesn't matter. I don't care what the study says. It doesn't pass the bullshit test in my brain.
How can you refute good studies that were done? 400 was it 450,000? No, 2,600,000 runs that they compared, and
Because
how many
I don't
accidents
know enough
happened.
about this study. I don't know the minor details about like it just I don't know.
But I think one of the current issues for firefighters, and if you look up the statistics, they're saying being struck by civilian vehicles is one of the highest killers,
Yes.
if not the highest killers of firefighters.
Respondersafety.com, free online training, free certifications, everything about how to be safe on a roadway and how to pick warning lights and striping and colors too.
Right.
But
So I think a lot of the focus for people who spec their fire trucks and use their fire trucks needs to be on making the scene where the fire truck is located safe. So back to what I was talking about earlier, providing advance warning of a scene ahead, parking your truck in a fend off position
mhm.
properly, making sure that your lights are selected properly so you're advising the oncoming driving public, those who are paying attention, one, and secondly, know what to do, two, know to move over, three, so that's part of knowing what to do, etc. Also, which lights you should have on, which lights not. For instance, fire trucks that I spec, if it was nighttime and the vehicle went into park and the headlights are on, automatically the scene lights came on. So not only the underbody lights, but the scene lights around. If in the daytime you went and opened the compartment door, the scene lights came on to help illuminate the firefighters who were standing there so that hopefully they'd be seen. And if they're wearing their proper gear, like they're supposed to be wearing their orange vest with reflective striping on it because they're on a public roadway,
What color's the vest?
orange. And you know
Orange or
why it,
lime. You can do
you know,
lime too, but ANSI
but
approved traffic vest.
yeah, but recognized as an emergency vest.
Why aren't they
Recognized.
wearing Why aren't they wearing a red vest or a blue
Uh,
vest?
well, you might be if you're in Europe,
You're
because I
not,
believe,
because you can't have an ANSI OSHA approved traffic vest that's a dark color. It has to be a bright color, just like the
right.
fire truck should be.
Well, I had that discussion with we had a bunker gear committee with one of my departments, and the guys absolutely insisted that their bunker gear had to be black because that was
Oh yeah,
they didn't want
Popcorn,
it to be
BC.
they didn't want it to be safety yellow because there's a certain large fire department somewhere that a lot of people have adoration for that only wears black gear. which amuses me because up to 20 years ago they were still wearing rubber coats. But
They
never
were.
mind.
That's right.
But never
Yep.
mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Never
we ended
mind.
up buying black gear anyways
Oh
because
no.
there's no point in having a committee where the guys have input if you ignore it. So
Yeah,
anyways,
that's true.
so we put bright striping on it, and we made sure that the striping was innovative, and no matter how you stood, it was showing. So that was our outlet in that
It
regard.
was a
But
concession to stripe more to overcome the dark colored turnout gear. So, I mean,
yeah,
just like in Fort Saskatchewan, the last two pumps that I was involved with, they
What
bought a
color were
really
they?
dark
What were they?
red.
Did you buy
So they,
yellow ones, Paul? No, you didn't. You didn't because you follow these stupid studies when you're talking on a podcast, but in real life you don't.
hang on. One is the study, the 2018 study wasn't out yet. And so all previous studies, a lot of people dismissed because they weren't definitive and they weren't, qualitative enough. Whereas this 2018 study, this is the first time I'm reading it, going like, maybe that's a mistake. Maybe we should have been doing yellow trucks because look, 2018 study, 2.6 million runs, evenly distributed across North America, different cities, different jurisdictions, all this kind of stuff. The proof's in the pudding. It's double the accident rate. The trucks in Fort Saskatchewan were a very dark red but then the chief insisted on a 2 foot wide Battenberg, which is the checkerboard stripe in each truck, in a very hard to obtain, expensive retroreflective, the superior retroreflective product that you could buy. It's a European product. And they have 2 foot wide stripes both sides so you can see them. So I didn't disagree with that stripe on those trucks to make them more visible. But now, after reading this study 2 weeks ago, I'm going, I think we should be changing our mindset. We should be considering lime yellow fire trucks because if it's proven after this depth of detail investigation that the 2 to 1 accident rate, definitely, why aren't we putting our firefighters in the safest colored vehicles?
but the basis of this study is the human eye perception of color, right?
Yes.
How many lumens are reflected back, and which color reflects the most light back so you can see it. And if you look at the chart, for instance, in the original study and is reproduced in some of these studies, it shows white and yellow being very similar, very high up there. So when you look at the statistics for the accidents for the white vehicles,
Yeah.
which was shown in this last one, the white vehicles are not distinctly different from the red vehicles at the accident rate. What's going on there? There has to be something else involved, and maybe it's just the recognition
The
or
recognition
failing to
thing
recognize that it's a fire truck. But I mean,
because it's white.
after 50 years, we must recognize that fire trucks can be yellow and
Although
can be
the far majority of the trend over the last 20 years for sure in the fire apparatus industry is back to red. I mean, so many departments
sure.
that were yellow went back to red because they thought the lighting and the high vis striping overcame the color of the truck. But it tells me that the lighting and the striping has not overcome the visibility problem of the dark colors. That's what this study tells to me. I was
May even be,
surprised when I read it.
yeah, may even be a contributor. But is Baltimore still painting their trucks white and orange, for
No,
instance?
they're
I
red,
don't know. I
They're
read,
red,
yeah.
and there
as
used
they
to
should
be
be.
Pittsburgh were black and orange, the
They're
same color
red.
as the hockey team.
Chicago's black over red, for instance,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And
That's
a
why
lot
everybody's
of
copied the
Illinois
black.
departments are the same.
Yep.
So
I don't
interesting to
have the
see
study
that
in
goes.
front of me, but in the 80s, New York City painted 10 engines lime yellow. And they did their own internal study on this exact topic. And their results were the yellow ones got hit more. So they went back to red.
Oh,
That
well,
just
you're the New York guy.
I'm
You're going to
just
have
saying
to
that
find that study.
over what I've heard. I don't have the study, but it
so what I wonder is the statistics or the experience on the rainbow colored trucks, the ones that are carrying advertising. There was there was a push by a municipality to put advertising on the vehicles as a way
Yep.
of paying for the vehicles. And I pushed back against that because my concern was, of course, camouflage. Uh, they had the same issue. They wanted to paint the fire hydrants, have local artists paint the fire hydrants, all kinds of different colors and stuff. Push back against that too. I mean, it doesn't meet NFPA, but let's ignore that for a second. Why would you camouflage your fire hydrant so you couldn't find it? And I think the same thing, and there's a lot of fire trucks out there. Almost every city has them. There will be pink ones for breast cancer, which is a great cause, but
Yep.
the truck is all covered in graphics. Does that help or hinder the truck in being perceived as a fire truck? I don't know. Um, uh, and like I said, there's rainbow colored ones. There's different color ones for promoting different support in the community. For instance, I don't know if any of those things are causing accidents or not, based on the perception of whether that's a fire truck and whether the color is part of it. I'd be really interested in knowing that.
I just found a study for tourniquet colors from Fire Rescue in 2011. I'm looking for the FDNY study.
Well, it's from like the 80s, so it might not even be.
The 80s were good times.
But I would like to have a study. My mind wouldn't change, but it'd be nice to have a study that took out all the variables. That let's only compare accidents that the truck gets hit because it wasn't seen. Take out the ones that it's a guy backing up that shouldn't be driving, or a guy driving like an idiot, or a truck that's parked as a blocker that is there to be hit instead of the people being hit, and all that kind of stuff. Like, we park our trucks on freeways. They're gonna, like, the reason it's there is to be hit so that I don't get hit. Like, take all that out and then determine, like, get down to the color being the only variable, and then let's see what.
Well, I mean, you can't make different drivers, different SOPs, different 100%. Training. So if you take all those things away, the summary of so many runs and so many agencies wipes out all the idiosyncrasies of training, policies, driver skills, weather, all that other stuff. That's all gone because you've got such a broad study over a large area of North America, which gives credibility to this study that the accident rate was double. And the other fact is that the accident rates have been consistent since the first study in 84. In 84, the study showed 31 accidents compared to 15, 2-1. In 95, the Dallas study showed the same thing. It was 3 times the rate for red trucks versus yellow. And then the 2018 study where it shows you basically half, 2-1. So, I mean, such a period. I was surprised when I saw this. I was like, wow, that's my mistake. We should have been pushing for yellow trucks, because it's our job as chief officers to make sure our firefighters are the safest they can be. This is a no-cost option, by the way. This is free. Red, yellow, doesn't matter. Purple, blue, I don't care. The color of the truck is relatively no cost when you're buying it. So shouldn't we be giving a safer option to our firefighters? Yes, recognition will be a problem for a time, but we were so used to lime yellow until we went away from it that really the recognition question, it's bigger again now, but it was almost gone in my opinion. So anyway, good discussion.
So riddle me this, Chief. The same guy has.
We got to find you that study.
Why does it matter what color the truck is for safety reasons when you're not going to paint my compartment door for me?
Well, I have to concede that this discussion has made me think that maybe that $300 a door cost for paint is worth it. The only reason why I didn't like doing it is I didn't like wasting the $300 a door, and it kind of looks scruffy on the edges after a few years because all the road grime gets into the seals and it scratches the surface of the paint a bit. But I mean, you can always wax it and it's not really that important. So I think you guys are right. I concede that I never really thought of that before, but the making the doors all the same, brushed aluminum finish does conceal the truck, and that's a good point. So you guys win on that one, Doug. I give that one to you, but we got to paint the whole truck lime yellow.
Everybody circle their calendar when you hear this.
That's right.
So Paul, Paul, maybe from our youth, maybe you could remember, help me remember. So when the steamer was pulled by white horses and versus black
Oh.
horses, which ones had the most accidents?
Great way to do it. I put a poll on our Twitter feed, or a little thing, not a poll, but I put a little thing today, Twitter and Facebook, saying, "Hey, what's your opinion? We're going to talk about this." So we'll see if people we see if people will answer. But I like that. Yeah. What color are the horses?
Nobody has an opinion on this. Don't bother.
Exactly. Well, great discussion. I think the recognition thing, like you said, does have a point, and the proof of the pudding on the recognition is that the white trucks, which are close to lime yellow in recognition by your eye, had a very high accident rate. So they didn't see the red trucks, and they didn't know what the white truck was. But if it's yellow, like all the airport trucks in the world.
No, not true.
Where?
Calgary, Toronto, Edmonton.
Calgary's are not yellow?
No.
Airport trucks?
Yes.
Oh, I got to check that. Of course, it's not FAA paid for, so I'll Transport Canada regulation if it has to be lime yellow or not. I'll check on that.
Why does it matter there? There's no one driving there anyways.
Because planes run into them. We've covered that issue already.
We talked about that.
They hit. What color was the one that the plane hit?
It was yellow.
Oh yeah, I rest my case.
They saw it. They saw it. They just couldn't change course.
But the plane driver saw what the fire truck driver did.
Maybe the airplane should have been yellow.
There you go. All right, we're wrapping this one up. Great discussion, everybody. We will have another one of these soon. Thank you.
Go red.